Phil Collins.
Was that seriously? Was that it?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you know that song, Coming in the Air Tonight?
Yeah.
You know the whole story about, like, what it's about, you know?
Dead son or something?
So it's like apparently he, like, witnessed a murder or something.
Right, and it had something to do with that.
Or some guy, like, that witnessed a murder that could have prevented it. And Phil Collins, like, found the guy and, like, sung it to him, like, dead on the spot at a concert or something. Like, he bought the guy a ticket just so he could oust him in the concert, and then apparently the guy went out and, like, then took his own life and whatnot. And just stupid lore thing that's 100% urban legend and not true, I found out recently. I knew that it wasn't true, but I didn't know what the actual story behind it is, like the song. And it's really womp womp. Well, just kind of like, oh.
Is it about sex?
No.
Oh.
Phil Collins was asked about it, and he's like, oh, really? That's weird. I don't know. I was going through a divorce at the time. I was just really angry.
I like it when that happens.
Yeah.
When there's like this weird theology and meaning behind it, and then the artist is like, no, it just sounded good. Because isn't yellow in that one?
They were all yellow.
I think that's I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
She's skin and bones.
Yeah.
What's the
from what again? This is just what I remember from the conversation is that it's nothing. It's just.
He's like, it's about nothing.
It's just a song. Like, you know, there's
he's
no.
Like, I just like the words that came together.
Yeah, I think it's yellow. It's something like that. It's in that era. So that was completely sorry. Hey, misinformation. My bad.
And that's how these urban legends start.
What I just.
It's like someone on the internet.
Do you know that Rob Schneider likes?
God damn. All right, let's do this.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape. Hello, welcome back, everyone.
Lyra.
Welcome back to TJ's mixtape. I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. I'm doing the. Shut up,
Lyra. You regret making that recommendation last night.
I wish I had a kill switch. Derailed me. Oh yes, this is TJ's mixtape. I'm Tommy. That's Jacob. We're a movie review podcast, so we talk about movies, who made them, how they were made, history, who's in them, and then kind of go over some themes and ideas, and end on a rating, arbitrary, but just how we feel. Kind of give it a little end to the everything. So, thanks for listening. If you're out there,
yeah, Lyra.
driving to work or what are we doing today?
Sitting at work with us on your phone while you're not doing the work that maybe you should be doing.
Why are you scolding? What are we doing today?
Northern Lights.
The Golden Compass. It's confusing.
The Golden Compass. Which I like that name actually better than the Northern Lights, really. Even though I guess actually it's kind of weird because the alethemia.
You are gonna have to not rely on me on all the made up bullshit.
Aletheminometer.
The Golden Compass.
I mean, they call it a compass, and then
because no one can remember the name of it.
Yeah. Do they? I wonder if they call it a compass in the book, and then it's like it's a compass, but it's technically the aletheminometer.
Aluminium.
Aluminum. Don't hurt yourself, kid.
What is that?
Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah. Wow, that was a weird reference for you.
Was it?
Yeah,
I reference that. I actually say that a lot. Whenever anybody kind of gets tongue tied, like I'm like, don't hurt yourself, kid. And
broke my pen.
Oh, of course you did. You fiddle with stuff all the time.
I know. I think I did maybe help with the face touching. Ever since you pointed it out, I can't.
I didn't point shit out. You saw it.
You said you touch. Are you a face toucher? And I gave you a weird look, and you're like, well, not other people's faces. I was like, yeah, I wasn't thinking that. I don't just go up to people. Shh. Quiet down, big boy. Go sleep. So the sun is setting. Is that what it is? The sun is setting.
A big sun is setting, big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop setting big guy.
I mean, if Scarlett Johansson did that to me, I'd be like, okay.
I'm gonna try. No, not gonna say it.
All right, Golden Compass.
Yeah, Golden Compass.
You want to give us a
yeah. On a parallel Earth, human souls take the form of animal companions called daemons.
Demons.
And a young woman and her demon go on a quest to find missing children. Young girl, not young
girl. Yeah.
Young girl.
I really like the parallel world idea. Like someone like really just like putting this like it's a fucking parallel world.
It's a multiverse movie.
Yeah, it is.
Which is actually kind of cool.
From like and for a novel like from 1995, like
yeah,
before it was cool, man.
Yeah, before it was the thing. But yeah, I didn't really understand. I thought this was just in a world I didn't really understand.
Yeah,
but to actually it be
like,
a multiverse
it's
movie.
like acknowledging like our existence, our world, our universe is there, and they're talking about our universe.
Yeah,
in the story. So it's like we exist, or our universe exists next to this universe. They're pals.
So when was this released? November 27th in London, and then
London premiere 27th, the day after my birthday,
in 2007, and then full release on the December 5th, and then released December 7th in the United States.
Yeah.
So London, then the UK, right? Wide release, and then wide release.
And then like domestically, it was like in the 39 box office, and then bigger worldwide, which makes sense because this is a British novel.
Yeah, and then if you look at the whole cast too, there's a lot of.
It was number 13 worldwide.
How many movies do you see?
I counted 39.
Oh, 62.
Yeah.
But yeah. So since we're kind of getting into it, this is book based, which I didn't know, and that was kind of a fun surprise. You ever heard of His Dark Materials? Well, I had only heard about it kind of, sort of, and this is the first. So actually, wait, kind of we meant to.
Oh man.
What we're doing in this block is we're doing movie adaptations of books,
young adult novels
that were never continued.
Yeah, that never went past the first book.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, this is The Golden Compass or Northern Lights is the first installment of the His Dark Materials Trilogy.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, that was really hard for you to get out. You might be familiar with His Dark Materials. There's HBO Max TV show. And I think it's finished.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just did the 3 books. And I think there's only maybe 3 seasons, maybe 4 seasons.
I think they finished it in like
2022.
Yeah, 2022.
But yeah, it was interesting because I didn't put that together. This movie came out in a very weird time, in my opinion, and the way that it just kind of like fizzled out, I thought was strange, but weirdly made sense because this movie's fine. I don't think it's very. It's for such an interesting idea and concept. It doesn't really like grab you that well.
I only disagree in the beginning, yes, because it starts doing this great world building, like the parallel world and all that. And there's this magical thing called spice. That's all I kept hearing. You know what I mean? It was like, let's call it dust. Anyway, but there's this magical element called dust, and they're kind of alluding to what it is and what it could be, and they're trying to figure out how to do all that. And I was like, okay. And aesthetically, everything about it, I was like, I'm really into this. And this is very cool. And then they started doing that thing where they weren't really doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just started feeling like you needed to have read the books to fill in these little plot holes to understand what's happening. And then it got really boring because they were explaining things but being very vague and kind of, it is because it is. And you're like, okay, Harry Potter, like magic, got it. Like you just kind of go, okay, why can you do that? Magic, I guess. Dust. This was dust. Dust does it. How does dust do it?
We don't talk about dust.
Nicole Kidman straight up says, we don't talk about it. And you're like, okay, well, I guess we're never. And then you go, oh, I guess she's never going to find out. And then you find out she never does find out.
Does God exist? We don't talk about that. You just have faith.
Or else.
And that's the allegory of the story. Honestly, it really is.
But yes, so this is based off Northern Lights of the Dark Materials Trilogy.
By Philip Pullman. You never said his name.
I know, I was getting there.
We went through a lot just to get to his name.
You can get a lot to shut the fuck up. Anyways.
Yeah, Philip Pullman. He has a couple other books. He has actually, so there's the His Dark Materials Trilogy, but he has a couple other books that are in
that world.
In the world as well.
Yeah.
And then he has, he's written a lot of stuff. Not a lot of stuff, but...
Enough stuff.
He's written stuff.
Stuff.
He's an author. He writes stuff. That's what he does. Good job, stuff writer.
I just choked a mess, but... I'm so derailed. Where are we at? What are we doing now?
We're talking about Philip Pullman.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying not to talk about the controversy of the book yet. I think, or do you want to do that now?
No, let's.
Or do you want to hold off?
Let's wait until we get into talking about it.
Yeah, because that's probably going to come up in reviews. Honestly.
No.
Really?
Really.
Oh.
I avoided certain things.
Okay.
I tried to avoid the comparison ones between everything else that was coming out this time.
Fair.
Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter,
Yeah.
Narnia. And I also tried to avoid any of the ones that were looking at like the controversy as a hot button. Like, as a movie,
Yeah.
what are your feelings about it as a movie?
And that's. I feel like it's kind of like. Yeah, well, we'll get there, but like I feel like it's this movie. Like I don't think everything continued because people weren't looking at the movie; they were looking at everything else around it.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, this was the screenplay written and directed by Chris Weitz, who also wrote and directed About a Boy.
I love that movie.
And new one coming out soon with John Cho called Afraid, and like AI, like Alexa, like AI in the house takes over and starts like torturing the family pretty much.
That sounds utterly uninteresting to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I like that because it's like, AI taking, killing us.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's
going to happen. Skynet is real.
Chucky with it.
That's
house.
what Chucky should have been.
That is what Chucky was. The remake?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying... Don't get me started.
Sorry. Sorry.
Don't get me started.
He also directed my favorite Twilight.
New Moon?
Yeah. Right, that's the
I've never watched
second
any of
one,
them.
right?
I
think so. Right?
Twilight.
I don't know, but I guess
Breaking Dawn, Eclipse. Yeah,
no.
okay.
Is it? No. Dead air. Fiddle it.
I mean, yeah, New Moon is the one where you learn a lot more about Jake, right? Jacob?
This is the one that looks constipated all the time? No, that's the werewolf.
Yeah, that's Jacob. Taylor Lautner's character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Jasper. The one Jasper's backstory one.
Who's Jasper?
The one that looks constipated all the time. He's one of the Cullens.
Oh.
He's not the big one. He's not the big buff guy. He's the skinnier one.
If it's not Belle, Edward, or Jacob, I don't know anyone else.
Okay, yeah. New Moon. New Moon's the second one. Which one's the one with the babies?
The babies?
Yeah.
That's like the end of like the entire thing, isn't it?
No, okay. No, sorry. I'm so sorry. This is totally derailed. New Moon is the evil ex-girlfriend of the vampire they killed in the first one. She comes and makes a bunch of newborn babies, and they have to fight them, like newborn vampires.
Oh,
and they have like crazy bloodlust.
I had such a weird image.
And they have like, so they have to like fight all these baby vampires.
You know what I realized?
And I liked that one because there's a lot of fighting. That's
fair. Okay,
it was pretty cool fighting.
Yeah, and again, like I've never watched any of them, so like Twilight has lived in the zeitgeist for so long that I know like the key, it's like some key things, but like when it comes down to like the nuance of like what happens in each actual story, I could not fucking tell you. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Spicy.
Jesus. Okay, Golden Compass, directed by Chris Weitz.
Yes.
He also stopped directing it for a minute.
Yeah, that was really weird. Well, it was only weird because they brought him back.
I know.
So he stopped directing it, and then what was his name?
Anand Tucker.
Anand Tucker came in, and then they had started having creative differences with the studio.
Yeah.
And then they went peace, and they went, you know what, Chris, get back in here.
And then
tag.
Chris Weitz is like, during that time, I actually learned a lot, and I was now ready to direct this film. Because when he first went on, like, I think he was just like in over his head, maybe. Because like he went down to like and visited Peter Jackson while Jackson was filming King Kong to to learn how to pretty much like direct a big budget like film like this.
Well, that's the thing, is like this is kind of a wild thing to kind of jump into because of the budget you have, the amount of special effects you're talking about, the amount of star power that's behind it. There's a lot of people in this. Yeah. There's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to direct and a lot of characters. It's a lot of source material to acknowledge.
Well, what's interesting is that Chris Weitz's screenplay was chosen over like Tom Stoppard's, and Tom Stoppard is like award-winning writer. Mm-hmm. And Chris Weitz, apparently, when I was reading this, just kind of came out of nowhere, like unprompted, came with a fucking script. Like they were like asking like Tom Stoppard and someone else, and they were expecting scripts for them. And then Chris Weitz is like, "What about this?" And the studio's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you come here." Come
Interesting.
Over here. And like Chris, like before this, like Chris Weitz, like really, it was about a boy, and he was uncredited, co-directed American Pie, and like has been an executive producer on a handful of stuff. So like the studio just really liked his script, and so did and Pullman sounded like, it sounds like Philip Pullman was maybe not a producer but around for like the writing and creative process of it. And Pullman really liked that Weitz was staying very close to the source material, but Pullman's also like view on like book adaptation and movies as an author, I think it's very, very loose and amendable in a way, because he's like, he understands that, and like I was reading a quote, he's like, some of the things that are in a novel don't necessarily translate well to film. And I saw Chris Weitz was taking some, like, because the heavy-handedness of the magisterium being like the Catholic Church, it's very, very clear. Like they call it the church in the book. Mm-hmm. They never call it the church in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was even something I was reading too, is that the allegories and theology and the examples were very watered down for the movie to make it, more digestible. But it's like, well, you don't want to piss off the church. The church.
Fuck the church.
Culture, you know what I mean? Which I think is pretty funny.
Yeah, but I mean, that's also kind of like what this entire story is about. Well, I mean, you could really argue that it's more authority, but still, like, what? It's clearly attacking the church. But anywho,
well, I just kind of, I don't know if this is a full thought, but it's kind of funny that we didn't water down Narnia, but we watered down the atheist.
Yeah, of course.
It's funny. It's like, okay.
Did you see why I get upset with fucking organized religion?
No.
And church all the fucking time?
No, I don't get why you get upset about it. But
because of shit like this. Like, what? We can't have a fucking, like, full-on, like talk about, like, how problem the church is?
Now you can.
Yeah.
But then you couldn't. Then it was a little, like, now, I mean, I don't know. HBO Max doing their show,
I'm really curious.
I'm sure. I don't feel like they're going to pull any punches with that. I mean.
All right. But yeah, so that was Chris Weitz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Directed, then off directing, and then back directing again. Let's go into starring.
Okay. I mean, let's just go in the order of.
I mean, let's start with the girl, Lyra, first.
Lyra.
Lyra is played by Dakota Blue Richards.
Lyra.
Who I don't really recognize from anything else.
Apparently she's in Skins.
I saw that, and when I saw Frankie, my brain immediately went to Effie, and I was like, no fucking way, that was who, what?
No.
And then I looked up Skins, like, oh no, that's it. Oh, wait, who the fuck's Frankie?
I don't know. I don't remember, because I only watched Skins up until the first group. Once Effie took over with her friends, I wasn't really interested anymore.
And I think she's part of like the later of like that part of it.
Yeah.
So and that's really so. Then you really only watched like the first season.
I think it's the first two.
Okay, yeah. Because once the guy that played Beast is gone.
Yeah, I don't.
Nicholas Holt. That's his name. Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I didn't want to watch it because it was like you watched a lot of shit went down in that show. If you never watched Skins, watch Skins.
Yeah.
It's Euphoria before Euphoria.
Yeah.
But a lot of shit went down in that show, and it just got really exhausting to like get to know these characters, get to like them, and then watch
them fuck up.
Just the crashing and burning that happened. And they're like, all right, you want to do it again? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it again. I'm good. I really loved it. I thought the writing was great. I mean, but it's also I was young at the time. I don't know if it would register now, but
just annoy you now.
Yeah, maybe.
Dumb kids.
Yeah, dumb whippersnappers. But yeah,
Man, Dakota Blue Richards. Did you notice anything that you?
No.
Yeah. Okay. And then I got Nicole Kidman next.
Yeah, which she's Nicole Kidman. Oh,
Have we done Nicole Kidman yet?
I mean, technically yes, but it's never been released. Women. Riddle me this.
Oh yeah. Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
God, she's hot in that.
Yeah. I was trying to go off the top of my head of movies.
She's always hot, but you know what
I mean. Moulin Rouge. Most recently, A Family Affair.
Aquaman.
Oh yeah.
She's Aquamama.
Aquamama.
I did write down and I know this usually is off of my thing, but practical magic for what I was talking about for the pre-Halloween thing.
Oh yeah.
Movies that kind of have that spooky magical thing and that aren't actually horror. I don't know. That's a thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's also got Sandra Bullock. So.
You just want to look at pretty girls, don't you?
So sue me. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, I wrote down others too. That'd be fun to rewatch. I haven't watched that in a long time.
It's really interesting. Like for starring in this movie, it's really Dakota Blue Richards and then Nicole Kidman. I got Daniel Craig next, but it's like his character is super important, but he's not really around in this movie. And that's another thing really quick. Like with this movie, a lot of these characters that were introduced, we just get like this little bit of them.
Because they're building up for the sequels.
Because they're building up for more. Yeah.
And once you watch it and know that, because it has all these names, you know.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig. And then I would like to rewatch it and time. I mean, I'm sure we could Google it and time how long he's actually
how much screen time?
He's if it passed 8 minutes, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'd be surprised too.
You know what I mean?
Actually, no, it's probably like 12 because I forgot there's that entire time when he's up in the north and he's getting attacked by the dudes with the wolves.
Yeah, but that was also probably a lot of that was a stuntman.
Fair.
Like, how much was it actually him?
I don't know. I think he's one of those guys that likes to do his own stunts.
No, remember when we were watching the credits, I was like, Lord Assholes Stunts, and it said the name of the stunt person, and I was like, what stunt?
Oh.
I was like, oh yeah, that one scene really quick. And even the big bear fight was less than 4 minutes. Like, this movie really doesn't.
That's actually a note that I have. Anyway,
it is.
Daniel Craig, who's James Bond. And then I guess Freddie Highmore really
and
needs
who we did in Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh, yeah. Freddie Highmore, who's the voice of Lyra's demon.
Oh, isn't he the good doctor?
He's the good doctor, yeah. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Right. That's what I know him from.
And then you got Ian McKellen, who voices a bear.
Eric.
And then you got Eva Green, who is a witch. And then you got Sam Elliott, who is a pilot cowboy pilot.
You have Evan McShane, who another bear.
Yep.
He's the evil bear.
You have Kathy Bates, which is a voice of someone somewhere. And Christopher Lee, who appears on screen for
about 30 seconds.
Yeah. And who's very much they're leading to like, oh, he's the big bad guy again.
Oh, yeah, like he's the one. That's what it was.
He's the head of the church. Or the magistrate, sorry. The magisterium.
That's funny. They're I don't know. You got Gandalf and Saruman.
Yeah, right.
Opposing sides in a big fantasy epic thing. There's someone else I wanted to say, but I didn't write him down. Kathy Bates?
Yeah. I saw the voice.
An animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but which one?
I
don't really remember a lot. Like weirdly, a lot of them didn't talk. Cause you could only hear yours.
I don't know how it works.
This movie prompted more questions than answers, and questions I didn't want to particularly know the answer to. To be totally honest with you, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait, I think only you hear. That makes sense. It's your soul.
Yeah, and so then in that way
Reviews.
Oh, like Kathy might have been like a voice of a bear somewhere,
But they only growled. You only heard 2 bears talk.
That's true. Who did the voice of Ragnar?
The evil bear?
Yeah.
Ian McShane.
That's right. I was trying to remember the name.
All
yeah,
right.
whatever.
Give us our scores and let me pull up the reviews.
Zeros! No. On IMDb, it's got a 6.1. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, a 42% tomato meter and a 51% audience score. So very mid-shelf, very mid tier.
Yeah, so on Metacritic, 51, mixed or average, with 10 positive, 20 mixed, and 3 negative. So for the positive, I picked the top out of the top, which was weirdly, it's our guy. Roger Ebert gave it 100 out of 100.
Fuck the church, man.
A darker, deeper fantasy epic than the Rings trilogy, the Chronicles of Narnia, or the Potter films. It springs from the same British world of quasi-philosophical magic, but creates more complex villains and poses more intriguing questions. As a visual experience, it's superb. As an escapist fantasy, it's challenging.
You know what's weird is like him writing it like that he's not incorrect in a lot of ways, but that movie was I had a hard time staying.
Well, in his fairness, though, especially if you're watching this when it's coming out and the build-up they had, I kind of feel bad for people that were fans of this book and then this movie, and maybe they didn't like the movie, maybe they did, but the utter and complete layup for an entire trilogy, and then the net just...
It's like layup, and then the hoop just disappears.
It just disappears. And the ball just stops. It just
floats, and then the ball disappears.
Yeah.
Pew! And then all of a sudden...
and the ball turns to dust.
And then you're in a void.
Yeah. It's like, it's kind of wild. So it's like, I can say, especially for someone like Roger Ebert too, with his reviews and how much over the years he's surprised us on things that he's like really liked. And then, the times that I've been able to find the full reviews and the way he talks about it, it's like, that's kind of, I couldn't find the full one wasn't up anymore, but it has that feeling that he was excited to see this world unfold.
Yeah.
And then also, because even then, and get better and better. Because, even look at Lord of the Rings. Like,
yeah.
Fellowship is a great movie, but it's very slow.
Yeah, it's Two Towers is really when it's like
picks up.
Yeah.
And like the Battle of Helm's Deep and all this kind of shit. But it's like, the first one is a really long game of hide and seek.
Yeah. What's interesting as well is I read that the ending of the movie isn't the actual ending of the book. They were actually going to use the ending of the book to start off the second movie. Because apparently...
So the final act of the book was going to be the first act of the sequel.
I wouldn't say like a complete act. But
for my...
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, which is why, because like when we finished it and we were both like, I was like, oh yeah, this is the ending. And you're like, wait, what? Because it doesn't feel completed. The story doesn't.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because even Aragon, like Aragon 2, we were making fun of it because you meet the big bad guy, but you never fight him, right?
Yeah.
But we had a villain that we defeated.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We had closure with Durza. Mm-hmm. But even then, it's like even Nicole Kidman and everything. There's still everything that's happening. Like I guess you could say the conflict resolved was finding the kids.
Yeah, saving the kids. Yeah,
but you're still kind of like, but there's all this other shit.
Well, even still, it's like, we saved the kids, but there was just like, and then they left. There was no denouement, no like, all right, the next plan of action that you will see in this next movie is going to be this thing. There's no like.
Yeah, like even then they could have had the whole saving. I'm assuming the next part would have been rescuing Daniel Craig, Lord.
I'm not sure. Ezreal.
But let's say that's what it was, right? Let's say it's
apparently a bunch of people die. Like it ends really dark.
Well, like let's say it ends like that, and then like they save him or whatever, and she runs up and calls him dad or something, and then it's him like having an epiphany that she knows now, and then end it. And you're like, oh. Oh, no, there's this. They're reunited. What's going to happen? I don't know.
Daniel Craig.
Shaken, not stirred. Oh yeah, we're doing reviews. Mixed. I picked Joe Morgenstern at Wall Street Journal, who gave it a 50 out of 100. Okay. Looks magical, sees with elusive profundities, and makes remarkably little sense. Though the murkiness makes the perfect sense on a shallower level.
Yeah.
Which I like that. It's like it doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense because they make it make sense.
Somehow.
It's the magic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like why? Cause. Okay.
And also just the more you kind of like live in the world of it, like as I'm watching the movie, it's like you pick up on like, oh, that's just how things work.
I've made a note of this one. 40 out of 100 at Film Threat. I just thought it was funny. Not only did those so-called demons take the form of animals, but they actually talked.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's the expert, the piece that came out of it. Or not, fuck me. Okay. Anyways.
I didn't follow it.
I just thought it was rent because usually it just says that. Never mind. Like negative 38 out of 100 by Lawrence Topman at the Charlotte Observer. The final sad joke is this. Weitz took a wonderful story about the danger of severing a soul from its otherwise empty body and did that very thing to its source.
Say that little part again, at the end part again.
Took a wonderful story about the danger of severing a soul from its otherwise empty body and did that very thing to its source. Severed its soul from the source.
Oh, yeah. That's clever.
Clever. That was clever.
Is that all of them?
Mm-hmm. Huh. I had a couple more joke ones, but anyways.
Maybe there's other ones
Fuck
that are better. Well, I mean, yeah. This is a really cool, elaborate world and idea, and interesting idea. But yeah, for me, it's like I felt like the moments that were important for like the lore building, the story, and just everything were rushed.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else that was like not was just like, and then it was like slowly moved through the other stuff.
Well, that's the thing though too. This movie is it's pretty long, but
yeah, it's like almost exactly 2 hours.
It's like a lot happens without a lot happening.
Yeah,
which is really weird. It's really hard to pinpoint what exactly is doing that. You know, for something like this, because even then, it's just like it's kind of weird to say now because there is this other form that you can watch it in, which I didn't, not knowing that this was part of this trilogy. It's kind of weird to be talking about it in this sense because there is this other, probably much better way to ingest this world that they're giving you now with the HBO show. But it's like even, something as simple as Nicole Kidman and her character as being this
very inconsistent in this movie as well.
Yeah, and it's like it wouldn't be inconsistent if you just built on her a little more. Mm-hmm. But it seems really like wild, and maybe again, not reading the books, maybe it is like that in the books.
I mean, if also we're not getting like the full story of her that's going to be fleshed out in later stories as well.
Yeah, like
it's like one of those things. Oh, maybe by book 3, it's like, oh, well, she's kind of like wild like this, because she was in love with Harry's mother the entire time, Sorry, Snape. Doing a Snape thing.
Who the fuck is Harry?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like she's really erratic, and it makes sense for her as like the villain. But I don't know if like it's hard to kind of tell when she's like telling Lyra like I'm your mother and Lord Asriel.
Yeah, sure.
Is your father? It's kind of like is this true? Or is she just saying this to get Lyra's compassion? And then Lyra's like, haha, fuck you, here's not the compass.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just weird, though, too. And it's missing beats, because there's this whole thing about these demons, with I'm assuming the whimsy and the freeness that a child is. Mm-hmm. Their demons are constantly shape-shifting until they settle.
Yeah, I love that.
I like the terminology, too. They settle into a form. But there's no dialogue or exposition or anything about, well, does that form represent the person? Because it is You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Nicole Kidman having the gibbon or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And it's this little bitch that's like slapping people and biting people and stuff. So is that because this is the gibbon's personality as this extension, or is it linked to her personality and it's kind of showing her true colors?
That's what you meant by an extension, though. I thought.
Well, I meant like well, sorry, yeah, that was confusing. I mean, is the gibbon in its own right its own personality?
Yeah.
And picks that because of its personality, or is it pick that form because of her personality?
I feel like it's an extension.
Yeah, but again, that we're saying we feel. It's not really.
Yeah, but if you're okay, that's where you kind of have to like take the like insight into it. Is if the demon is their soul, that's what it is. It is their soul.
Yes.
Inherently, it's going to be an extension of that person's personality, because your soul was going to represent who you are.
Well, yeah, but then even then, there's like moments with Pan, the little shapeshifter, Lara's, and I don't know. I just felt like from dialogue that they were having, there were moments that felt like they were feeling different things, as opposed to if they were really connected, an extension of her personality, they would be mirrored of each other.
Like when she's like, when like the demon is feeling scared and she's like, no, we have to be brave.
Yeah, like I'm fine. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm just...
That's probably just this miscue on writing or directing or acting or what have you. But it's, like, it's kind of like deep down inside your body's saying like, we shouldn't be doing this. This is terrifying. This is terrifying. But
it's like a Jiminy Cricket
you're
thing.
putting it forward as like, I have to be brave, and I will be brave.
Yeah, but even then, I don't know. I just felt like if that's the case, it would be opposite.
That the soul would be the
one that's like
be brave, and
the
whatnot.
guiding force.
But that's what makes the complexity. Talks about the complexities of souls. It's like your soul isn't your moral compass. Your soul is just an extension of you. It might be your subconscious. What you're truly feeling, but not showing.
I know, but your soul is also not a sea otter, so I don't know. There's a lot of.
We don't even know if we have souls.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought it was
the biggest.
I just think there's missing. There's things missing.
Well, when you're trying to create an actual like anthropomorphic idea of a soul, there's going to be things where you kind of have questions about that. You're at the end of the day, you're just going to have to accept what they're doing in this story.
No, yeah, but I mean, but that's the thing is about in pretty much this entire movie, I didn't really understand why anyone was doing anything. You know what I mean? I didn't really get. Like
why the gobblers were
gobbling? I didn't really understand.
It's all literally this entire story, crutches on the magisterium, and they say it right at the fucking beginning with them when they have their dark meeting with the fireplace. We're gonna take the kids and we're gonna cut out their souls so then they will listen to us forever because we know what's right.
Yeah, but I didn't get that either.
What do you mean you didn't get that?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
No,
I didn't understand.
How do you not understand that?
I don't get by killing the thing.
Because by taking someone's soul, you make them subservient to you.
But why too? I don't know.
Which is what the church does, in my opinion.
This whole big movie is a giant carrot and having a really hard time keeping it down.
It's all a metaphor for how the authority in the church tries to control people.
I understand that. I just don't think it's not projected well in this particular format in this movie. Fair.
I think it's because they just have that quick little 30-second scene being like, this is what it is, and then you just have to remember that through the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't.
And that's kind of like where it's like it kind of, if the books do a lot more like talking about like how the magisterium is like this controlling force, and they pulled back on that for the movie to make it more appealing to the mass audiences, so it didn't feel like they were attacking the church, then they did this source material very poor service.
Yeah. Well, I mean, which it feels like they did.
That's okay. And I think just with this discussion, I think I discovered why I have such a hard time. I've had a hard time trying to connect to this material, because it feels like there should be something more being said through this entire movie. And it's just going through the motions of story beats with no heart, no sense of meaning, no sense of direction.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of sat here shitting on it for a minute, but I mean, I do think there are aspects of this movie. I think it looks great. I think the world is very cool looking.
Yeah.
with this kind of like Victorian steampunk thing.
It's got a very unique style, feel, and vibe to it.
Yeah, like when you see her airship and it's this bright red.
It's like a Zeppelin type thing.
Weirdly enough, it looks like some Willy Wonka shit. Yeah, she's driving around.
It actually it reminds me of Final Fantasy VI, like the airships that you get in that, and just like the world. It's weirdly, I was like, Final Fantasy VI could live in this world, and vice versa. I was like,
oh yeah, and it had that like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen kind of thing to it, So I thought it was cool. It's something
it's very British in that sense,
Yeah. Well, and then I thought it was something I really did love was the fucking blade thing. Like when you killed somebody and their demon. I don't know why I keep saying it like that. Their demon just
because the way that it's spelled. Like, I feel like it should be pronounced Damon because it's got the like the A-E, which that's the symbol for A.
Is that why I'm doing that?
Damon.
Because they don't say demon.
They're saying demon.
They're not.
They are saying demon.
Ugh, I'm going to put it back on later.
I listened very close. I was like, why do they keep saying
Are
demon?
they saying demon or Damon? Anyways, it might be because we're talking about Game of Thrones too. The blade thing. Whenever someone died and then their spirit animal just combusted,
turned to dust.
I loved that.
I thought it was really cool.
Mainly because it was a really cool way of being violent without being violent. Because there's a scene where the king bear runs up and it was and he grabs the guy and he slams him on the ground. And the second he makes contact, you see a puff.
Yeah,
of gold
like,
dust.
Oh, he just murked that dude.
He fucking just pile drived him into the ground. And then also, as I told you off camera, the polar bear fight scene, the ending of that is like one of my top 10 moments now.
Dude, did you read what it actually had? It's even more violent in the book.
Well, I imagine, but I liked it in the movie because of how just
out of nowhere, boom. But in the book, after that happens, there's a ritualistic moment, a ritual where he eats the heart of the one he killed.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, whoa!
Satan. No, but I really enjoyed that. Like, is that all? Is that what he was saying? And then he fucking knocks his jaw off, bites it, and he's like, that is all. I'm like, all right, Optimus Prime, calm down.
Ian McKellen.
Yeah. Ian McKellen.
You shall not pass. Because I guess like the main story beats of this movie is for Lyra. She wants to save her friend, and you find out that these kids are being sent up to the Northern Lights. I keep calling the Northern Lights. I don't know if that's what it's actually called. And they're pretty much having their
souls removed,
demons removed, souls cut, ties, whatever.
I liked how they kept saying it's just a little cut.
Yeah, it's just a little cut. Even fucking Coulter saying that, Nicole Kidman just saying that, and then Lyra's like, well, then why don't you fucking do it? It's like, if it's not so bad, then why haven't you done it?
That's a fair point.
Yeah. And you have like Coulter, who's kind of like really like in charge of all this, but you don't really know why or how yet.
And like what capacity.
Yeah.
Too.
And then you have Daniel Craig, who he's a scholar who's trying to figure out what the fuck the dust is. And at the beginning of the movie, it's kind of like him gaining funds to go on this expedition to discover more about the dust. But the Magisterium is like trying to kill him because you can't have hearsay.
Well, that was another one that I pointed out last night. Well, the magistrate is so against it because they're worried that proving these other universes will undermine their authority.
Yeah.
And then suddenly in the movie it turns into they now have the power to take over these other worlds. And you're kind of like, when the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
Unless it was that conversation with Christopher Lee.
Yeah, there might be something in there with that.
Maybe, but I don't remember. I don't recall any of that.
I'm really curious because I didn't really hear that moment that you're talking about where they're like, oh, we can use it to go in there and take control. Like I never caught that, so I don't know where you saw that moment as well.
Well, because it's the little priesty guy in the beginning. When he's having conversations with another one of the kind of like top
the headmaster, or
the
whatever.
headmasters or whatever. He's talking about the danger of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the last conversation I remember about their kind of plot of like, nah, this is a bad idea. And then next thing, Eva Green, who's the witch and the witch queen or whatever. And then she's like, oh yeah. And you're kind of like, the fuck do you know? Like, that we don't. Like, I don't
She's
know.
really old. She has.
I guess so.
She knows witchy things.
Yeah, she's magic.
Magic. But they prove, that she's got magic, and was like, which one of these people did I used to have sex with on the boat?
The captain. Shocking.
Oh, but he's old and you're young. Yes, but I don't age the same way that he does.
That was really bad. That
doing?
That
Just the
moment.
moment, yeah.
You're just like, wow. Talk about spoon feeding information. Right? Like, I don't need the compass to guess which one you fucked. I don't know. I just thought it was so weird. Like, okay.
But Lyra doesn't know.
I guess, yeah, she is talking to a little girl. So.
Yeah.
Lyra. So, just for context, if at the end of the movie, there's a song made for the movie, and it
Repeats Lyra
a lot.
And then it rhymes almost every line with Lyra.
Oh, or oh Lyra.
Oh, Lyra.
Oh Lyra.
Come behind her.
Fight the
tiger.
Oh, the darkness will find ya. Oh, Lyra. Yeah.
Oh,
Tiptoe through.
tiptoe through the window.
Don't sing that in here, actually. I don't like that. Gonna call something forth. What are we at?
Like 46.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It is really interesting, just like how like I've been noticing this, because it did it with Aragon. I wanted to say it's done like a lot of these fantasy movies when the world is too big and they don't have like enough time to really just like let you just like live and discover the world through the journey of the film.
Mm-hmm.
There's always this like 3-minute narration of explaining everything.
What do you mean?
Wasn't there like a narration at the beginning of this that kind of explained like how people's souls were connected, and there was this yeah
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess that is that might be a sign that your storytelling for your screenplay might need a little work.
And it's definitely, I feel like that's it nowadays. People are like that, we don't do that anymore type thing.
Yeah.
Because in this for 2007, it's kind of like, I mean, this is the best we got so far, so let's do it,
Yeah, it's a pretty dated thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even Star Wars doing it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like for the 70s and even in the like going in the 80s, like even like the scroll of like, and then there was
Conan the Barbarian.
In the darkness there was a fighter, and he survived the Colosseum fights, and now we follow him called Conan.
Yeah.
Like.
Because some of them were long too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like
It's like I'm reading a novel right now.
I remember
we did this with there's one in one of the movies that we've done.
had a long one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one it was.
I'm trying to as well. Does Willow do that?
No, I don't think so.
Was it Legend?
Oh, yeah. It might have been Legend. That feels right.
Yeah.
Because it's red.
Yeah, and you're like, God damn.
Yeah, it might be Legend. The last unicorn. And then the darkness binds them.
And then Tom Cruise.
What is it? I was trying to remember the Lord of the Rings quote. The one ring will find them, and in the darkness bind them.
Who says that?
It's the One Ring prophecy.
Yeah. Oh.
About the warning about the corruption of the ring.
Oh.
How it'll enslave you, basically.
Kate Blanchett does the narration in those, doesn't she?
Well, she's
because she's Gallic. Yeah. I did just like, I don't know why. I feel like I knew that, but it just clicked. It was like, I was like, oh yeah.
Like it finally fell into place entirely.
Yeah.
That synopsis is completed. That wire's live.
I'm just looking. I'm looking at my notes, and it's like, I guess let's go back to really quick. Just then, we'll wrap it up with after this. It's like the problem. Like I feel like.
You're talking about the controversy behind it?
Yeah, because I feel like it wasn't a big enough box office. It wasn't a box office flop, right?
No.
Yeah, because like
180 budget and then 372.
But like again, like this kind of like with Aragon, a lot of it was not domestic sales. So it was a lot of overseas.
Well, yeah, but I mean, money's money, so.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, yeah, I feel like there was enough to move into like doing this as a full trilogy. But even I was thinking it was I read it. One of the actors said Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott actually blamed the controversy with the Catholic Church as one of the biggest reasons they did not finish this.
Well, from what I was reading too, a lot of it's very humorous to me because of this whole situation with the church getting upset about this movie being pro-atheist themes.
Even though it's not pro-atheist, it's really just...
that's how they saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine. Whatever. That's how you see it.
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I don't give a shit.
I'm here to tell you you're fucking wrong.
But you see it as this pro-atheist, anti-church message, which it is.
It is anti-church, 100%, yes.
But then if you read what some of these different heads of these different organizations were saying... They were saying what the magistrate was saying.
Magisterium.
The magisterium was saying.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Right.
And in the book. And you're like, we don't like...
It's like, look in a mirror, motherfucker.
We don't want to promote free thinking in our children. And you're like... What?
Like, oh, maybe Bill Pullman's onto... Bill Pullman's onto something, man.
I get that you don't, but don't say that. Don't say it out loud.
It's like, don't say what the book is saying. Dude, what the fuck? Are you reading the script right now? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I was. I don't know if you saw when we were setting up, and I was just kind of like,
yeah,
because I was like some of the quotes. I was like, you're just backing it up, and that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised at the time they pulled their punches with it. Yeah, but I don't know. It's
like with it. The thing that I got a little worked up with earlier was the fact that the Catholic Church coming out and like disparaging and like attacking this movie, this series, like this material, when it's like there's so like the handfuls, thousands of other materials that are all talking the opposite of like the Catholic Church. Just because he's not really putting a mask on it. He's just kind of being like, he's kind of putting a mirror up to it.
Yeah. Well, you just explain, that's why.
Yeah. But it's like,
it was a blatant, I mean, granted, I haven't read it, so I can't super say anything on it, but from everything that I do understand, it was a blatant mirror in front of them, and
they got spooked. Yeah. They got scared. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, we don't want people to actually like see this. It's like, we do see it, you fucking idiots.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, what is this one? The Catholic League president, William A. Donahue, the source material. The film will encourage children to read the novels, which he says de-integrate Christianity and promote atheism for children.
And I guess in the church's eyes, atheism is such a complicated term because... A lot of people think of atheism as just the rejection of the teachings of the church, which it is, but it's more like atheism is more of like just rejecting the idea of a singular or a secular God or just deities controlling in general.
Well, I mean, something that you also have to keep in mind too with this, and I'm not defending, it's just food for thought, just a point of view, is that for this kind of stuff too, when you're coming to these controversies and people in the church freaking out about it, it's like to a diehard Christian, and obviously I'm just going to use that blanket term for the time being. I'm not going to go into each individual branch of it. But, when you start getting into the idea of rejecting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're now talking about also condemning your soul to eternal torture. And
Yeah.
so it's like, if you are a true believer and that is why you are concerned about people being turned away from God, that's your logic.
Yeah.
There's the other one of just power and control, but there is the people that believe that is the outcome, the future for you. So there's one side where you're like, yeah, they're honest to God concerned for your soul, immortal soul, and then there's the other one. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, but that concern, even though it feels,
but it's not the teaching. The teaching is to help.
Yeah,
I use that word loosely.
The concern, like it's a ruse in a way to like make it seem like that the concern is for the well-being, as opposed it's more like, since the concern is a controlling thing, like.
Yeah, but I think there's both. There's both exist.
Yeah.
There is a concern for the controlling, and there's concern for the concern.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I guess, is like with the concern for the concern is that you're conditioned to just have that concern without realizing that the concern is about the controlling.
My head hurt. I don't follow, but I don't want to turn this into a theology class.
That's fair. You know, I'll go hours.
Because I also know that we'll never entirely agree, and then it will just probably turn into a weird argument.
Then we just start throwing the cameras at each other.
It's going to turn into mom and dad fighting. You know what I mean?
Well, all right.
Because we have similar ideas about this, but we also have different ways of articulating and executing them when it comes to organized religion.
Yeah.
Because I also am fascinated with religion.
I mean, there's the difference between fascination and following the creed,
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel like you follow like the creed of the Catholic Church. You're just interested in all of what it is because of like the history of it. And
yeah, and every religion I find
exactly.
really interesting to read about and kind of.
And I do too.
The ins and outs. Yeah, but we're different about it. We have a different sentiment.
Yeah, I do because I want to hate it.
Yeah, and I do just merely out of like almost morbid curiosity.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to find ways why this is wrong.
I'm like, whoa, that's wild. Anyways, moving on with my life. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, crazy. All right, cool.
And I'm at
SpongeBob.
I'm on top of the hill yelling like the old man, like, Dad, it's all wrong. Screaming at the sky at nothing.
Yeah. Like, what? I'm gonna go watch SpongeBob now. But yeah, no, just it is kind of interesting that it caused this much controversy too, because the studio even then was so worried about everything. They watered it down so much.
Yeah.
That it's still there, but it's almost more there in aesthetic more than theology.
Yeah.
Like, it looks a lot like the Catholic Church, like the robes and the stuff and the Vatican. They kept calling the Jordan College.
Yeah.
The Jordan College. It looked real Vatican-y. I was like, oh, this is pretty on the nose. But then when it came to theology, they were more loosey-goosey with their terms and kind of vague. So, but I like that too. The movie will promote children to read the books. And we can't set them on fire anymore, so
right.
You know what I mean? Like, God damn it. But I thought that was kind of interesting, and it's like, and that is what you said too. It's kind of like there's so many other things out there that were just more quietly, and the church didn't like how.
There's probably even a bunch that are like even more blatant than this, but they didn't become bestsellers or a movie.
Well, that also because at the end of the day, a lot of the church, especially the big guys at the top, not the big guy, but the other ones, like probably saw things, because there's conversation about Harry Potter being heresy and stuff like that, but it's probably because of things like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all that became these huge sensations, franchises. And then you had this one, The Golden Compass, which was very much fuck you, church. And maybe they were worried about
like, all right, we gotta put a line somewhere. We gotta draw a line somewhere, guys.
Yeah, maybe they were worried about the popularity of that matching up to that of Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, because it would have done something.
I mean, there's already like young kids born in the early 2000s so many don't even like follow any kind of like religious creed by any
Mhm.
like sort, you know, like.
Well, then I just think it's funny too because it's like, then like I said earlier with the Narnia thing, like Narnia is such a you
Yeah.
know C.W. Lewis,
C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis, thank you, C.S. Lewis, very Christian,
Yeah, I mean, the Chronicles of Narnia is all one
Yeah.
allegory of like, you know,
but
yeah, which is why also like that when it's brought up that journalist who was like, this is a direct rebuttal to
yeah,
C.S. Lewis and the Chronicles of Narnia. Like his Dark Materials is like anti-Lewis, you know,
Yeah.
anti-Narnia.
but it's like even with Narnia too, you know, there's all these Christian themes, and you know, fucking Aslan is straight up
Jesus.
lion Jesus,
Yeah,
but I'm able to turn off that part of my brain when I watch it because I'm like, no, I just like Liam Neeson as a fucking talking lion fucking shit up. That's cool to me.
well, it's interesting. It's like I do say that I do feel like Narnia has enough elaborate, you know, masking on this stuff where you can just be like, oh yeah, no, this is just a fun fantasy world. When you really look at it objectively, like, oh yeah, this is clearly very Christian.
Yeah, but you can turn on that
Yeah.
fantasy switch, you know, pretty
Yeah.
easily.
I think it's kind of hard. It's harder to do something like that in a world that the Pullman created for this because of he's trying to make this like parallel world. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, because it's also with this world, going back to his Dark Materials too, his world is interesting because, again, with this movie, we don't really get a whole lot of the science behind everything. Maybe you would in the books, but the amount of technology that this world has while still being at the mercy of the church, I thought was a very interesting. And it kind of goes back to the aesthetic because, you know, you had these blimps and those little remote controlled wasp things, you know, the drones, basically.
Yeah.
You had this really cool
Technology.
while being backed by the church. And I thought that was just an interesting.
Like, what is like what science
Is okay.
is okay and was created through the
church to use for their control, basically.
Yeah.
So I guess basically this movie has just made me very interested in the HBO show because
Hopefully, there's a lot more explained.
it's a cool world. It's a very interesting world, and this whole idea, and like you were saying, how when we were finishing it, is how much it sucked to have this extension of yourself that is so exposed that, you know, you can grab the ferret and choke it.
Yeah.
And then it could choke you. Like, that's crazy. You know,
Yeah.
that's a really very vulnerable position to be in. Not
Yeah.
only do you have you, but you got this little,
Yeah.
you know, and some of them, like Billy Costa's little kid, his was a rat.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. You know what I mean? And then fucking Daniel Craig's was a snow leopard. You're like, I want the snow leopard just so it can take care of itself if some shit goes
It's like,
down.
what did he do in his life where his demon settled into a snow leopard?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Can you can you give it like a earth stone or something? And then
Earthstone.
isn't that what they're called? Gotta catch 'em all.
Oh, yeah,
Right? Are they stones?
yeah. Or
Yeah.
gems, but yeah, I think yeah.
They're stones, right? Whatever. You know.
You're making a Pokemon Evolve joke.
Yes. An Eevee joke. Just kind of poke it with a stick. See what it turns into.
Do something.
But yeah, I just think it's a really cool world. It's a huge bummer with this movie that it had so much chugga-chug build up to a whole franchise, and then just
Yeah,
almost 20 years later, it's just nothing.
yeah.
And
Well,
it's like-
the movie, the franchise itself. I mean, you got to think like this came out in 2007, and then His Dark Materials on HBO came out in like 2018. So it was about a decade, and then yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we should be wrap up.
Okay. What are you giving it?
Oh fuck.
Wait, what did we give?
We gave Aragon a pretty low one.
We gave it a 1.5. So
Yeah.
I'd say a 2 or 2.5 because it's a
I'm going on with a 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. Like, not very often do I come across a movie where it's like, I feel like I like don't even want to give it a number rating because I just feel like it just exists. You know, like when we were doing like our Mogwai ratings, and I was like, it's a Billy. You know, it's like it's just
It's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is fair. That's
Since it sucks that it didn't really get its trilogy to finish it. But again, that's kind of like a problem when you try to rely on having a movie franchise be it like a huge thing like that, because you need each movie to be its own individual, like stand on its own. You know, each Harry Potter movie stands on its own. Even like Deathly
That's
Hallows
fair.
Part 1, Part 2, they all stand on their own.
Yeah, but what about Lord of the Rings?
Two Towers and Return of the King is kind of like a hard one, but the way that they did that was like the books. If you look at the books, they stand on their own, you know. Mm-hmm. But since they were filming them consecutively, and that's another thing. Even like Empire Strikes Back to Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back kind of doesn't end. Like it ends, we have stuff, but you're on a cliffhanger, like expecting leading into the next thing, the heroes have lost type thing. I'm trying to remember, how does Two Towers end?
No, I mean with Empire though, like the one big thing is that Han has been taken.
Yeah,
but Leia and Luke have reconnected. You see him get his hand fit. It has enough.
It has a denouement.
Wrapped
as a denouement, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have now we have this other piece of this adventure trickling into this one.
Yes,
as opposed to everything.
Yeah.
is now gotta have to be.
And no, in Two Towers they do kind of like wrap it up a little bit neatly, just like they allude like there's more to be happening in the next movie, but what we've experienced through this movie is finished.
Yeah, well, because in Two Towers, as you meet the Knights of Rohan, they have the Battle of Helm's Deep, and they destroy Saruman's keep.
Yeah, with the Treants coming, and so
the
like
Ents, yeah.
there's a big arc.
A couple big things on that checklist start taking off. So yeah, that's fair.
Whereas this movie ends with them saving the kids and then the weird fight with the witches, and I still don't know what the fucking dudes with the wolves are. They're not gobblers. Are they?
Those are gobblers.
Those are the gobblers?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're guards. Yeah. But
okay.
What you said? You said the witches.
The witches fight with the gobblers. And the end of that fight.
Oh, the kid thing.
Oh, they saved the kids.
We didn't even, but even then too, the kids missing thing, we knew as an audience was happening. They didn't know that was happening until like halfway through the movie, until she like stumbled upon the list by accident.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was like that. So even then I was like, well, that's kind of a big deal to the plot, but that's so
it's
half-assed.
kind of like, because Lyra's whole thing when she gets out of Coulter's house and whatnot, and then the gobblers try to get her. And then she's saved by the Egyptians.
Did you right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say any more about it, but I was like, really?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Saved by the Egyptians, and then she finds out that Billy Costa has been missing, and so she wants to go save Billy. And then it's revealed like, oh, there's a much bigger... Oh, no, it's her about to being kidnapped is like the reveal of like kids are starting to disappear. Mm-hmm. And she knows that Coulter's been doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's just because like...
It's kind of like... Yeah.
Because and that goes into the beat kind of thing. Because we see the kids get kidnapped and then she goes with Coulter and then there's this thing and then she kind of stumbles upon the kids are being kidnapped. Oh, and now we need to go rescue the kids. And it's just kind of like this... I don't know.
The way that the important moments are rushed through while the rest of the movie kind of goes at a snail's pace.
Yeah. All right. So that was the Golden Compass. We gave it a 2.5.
Yeah.
We're cool. I mean, all in all, I thought it was enjoyable. I probably...
For such a cool world.
I wouldn't recommend it because it doesn't end. It doesn't finish. And
No.
that's a huge disappointment. So I would just say go...
They like right off into the sunset. And that's about it.
I would say go watch His Dark Materials. Haven't watched that, so I don't know. But the world's cool, and it's HBO, so I can only imagine it's pretty cool.
And they finished it, so. Are you looking to see what its rating is?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Probably like a 7.7.
So 2019 to 2022. What'd you say?
7.7.
Nice, 7.8. Pretty close. But yeah, so I mean, that's pretty good for a 3 season long series. 7.8. It's over. I would say if it's something you've been interested in, the world sounds pretty cool, so I would check that out. But you can skip this.
And
one.
if you're like me and you'd heard of the Golden Compass, didn't realize that His Dark Materials was that.
Me too.
then
Didn't know?
go watch it.
Yeah, I think. So after all this, we reviewed The Golden Compass, only to recommend
His Dark Materials
on HBO Max. It was a long way to get there, but thanks for sticking with us.
Good hour and 10 minutes right there.
What are we doing next week? Cirque du Freak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah. And I don't remember anyone else.
Neither do I.
But yeah, Cirque du Freak, vampire series from somewhere in the 2000s.
Isn't Cirque Vampire? Yeah. Is it Cirque du Freak Vampire?
It's Cirque du Freak Vampire. Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant, and
Yeah.
then there's what? How many did I say? 12 of them?
I don't. Yeah, I had
14 of them.
I don't. Damn, really?
It's a young adult, early 2000s vampire series that I read. They made a movie of it. Don't remember it being very good, but hey, it's got John C. Reilly in it as a vampire. Wild. So we're gonna check that out next week, and then we got one more. So we got that one, and then the following week we got one more book thing, and then we're gonna do something else.
Which one that one is going to be?
Starburst.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I wanted to ask why we didn't do that one.
Oh, because it's not.
Ender Game.
It's Ender's Game because Stardust is an original, not a book.
No, it's a Neil Gaiman book.
Oh, that's right.
But we.
Because it's a standalone.
Yeah, it's its own thing. So we'll save that for
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're doing Cirque du Freak and then Ender's Game, and then we'll do something else. Okay, so follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You'll find all of our promos on there about what's coming up for the weeks coming up, as well as our link tree. That will take you to all of our sources for where you can listen to. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Like, subscribe, leave a review, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah.
This is Tommy.
It's Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's Mixtape.
Lyra.